all this betrayal going on, and you've always had it from the beginning of slavery. Again, slavery could not have begun, not chattel slavery. All right, and remember, we're talking about chattel slavery. Um, History teaches us that slavery would not have begun without the desire for the black women to want to be better than the other black women by having a white man. Because better wasn't being treated better. Better was like, I got the stranger and you don't. And even when people pointed out, well, the stranger is destroying the community, the land, everything. The black woman didn't care because it was all about that. As a matter of fact, it's the same way they do now. If you look at the black woman and you talk about her offspring, the thugs and stuff like that, that's destroying the land, right? Well, because they created them, the first thing they say is, well, they need love, thugs need love, and, well, where are you black men at? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you where the black men at. We are not in the community because you didn't want us there. The only ones you wanted in the community was the criminals, the thugs. And you destroyed manhood in any child that grew up under your care. Why? Because having them parade around, dancing around like Beyonce was cute to you. So you robbed them of manhood. All right, so they're through. All right, and then the real men, we was like, all right, we see what time it is. We don't want nothing to do with you. Period. Now we're through. So now you run around looking, trying to find a way out of the mess that you've created. Only to find out there's really no way out. Because you created the mess. Who did? The black woman. Now, here's the thing. There's something called repentance. And of course, we're not talking about all the black women at the time, because some were slaves. All right. There were some that were slaves. All right. Most of them were wives or concubines. Let's make sure we get this understood. Most of the slaves were Afro men, 2/3. All right, let me put it this way. Most of the Afro people, most of the black people that they refer to that came over here, 2/3 of them were men. All right. It's questionable as to how many of the women out of the 1/3 were wives and concubines and how many were actual slaves. All right. Now, you got ignorant people that's trying to promote this black woman is God mess, and the black woman, the black mom, all up here with African stuff on and beads and stuff, not telling y'all the truth. And they won't tell you the truth because the truth actually hurts. I ain't gonna lie, it hurts me to understand how bad the betrayal was from of black women to us, the Afro people. All right. This is a woman that most of us, if we be honest, we tried to show love to most of our lives. All right. Now the difference between us, we've always understood that something is just dang wrong with our community. And for some of us, we pointed the finger, we literally pointed the finger at ourselves first. See, that's the difference. The Afro man, the ones that woke up, we woke up because we pointed the reason why we're stronger at waking up. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. The reason why we are more aware of everything and that we go midtown and separate ourselves and we start calling out the simps, because when we saw something was wrong in the community, the first thing we did was we looked to men. We looked to even ourselves. and we pointed the finger at ourselves. Only the people that didn't want to understand that like some of the stuff is self-inflicted, only those people kept looking and saying it's the government's fault. It's the white man keeping us down. No, the white man was making policies to keep us down. All right. And as he created stuff, I'm going to tell you something. And I'm going to just keep this real. If black people would have never lined up with this black woman to sell out hip hop to white people, just think how big we would have been in the industry. I want y'all to grasp that for a moment. If we would have stayed in control of our own stuff and not sold it out, think about the music we would have still been putting out. We still would have been putting out KRS-One, Chuck D type music. Yes, even Flavor Flav. All right. We would have been putting all of this out. We would not have been putting out. I think NWA would have made it because they had something to say. If you really listen to them, all right, and not to the hype, all right. Now, after they split from NWA and turned into the Chronic and all the rest of that stuff and Aftermath, that's when it went downhill. All right. But when they was talking about the streets, that's what was happening in the streets. All right. When these movies was coming out portraying the grit of the streets and how bad it was to the community. You understand? New Jack City. When we was putting out movies like that, all right, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that because it's not permitted. I'm going to tell you something else too. Now we do have the system trying to keep us shut down, but I don't think we have the Caucasian, I don't think it's the Caucasian man within this system that is shutting us down. For the life of me, it looks like the BAW who is working for the Caucasian man is trolling for those that's trying to wake the brothers up. Is because in order to wake the brothers up, we have to be telling the truth about something. Y'all understand? All right. We have to be telling the truth about something. All right. You're not, everybody like, oh, woke this, woke that, bull. All right. They're not woke. They ain't sleep either. All right. But they're not woke.
And out there.
Hold on for a second. I want to see if y'all are going to be able to hear this.
I saw. By positioning themselves as your Africans or and having European names with their European husbands. Women live in one compound, men live in another compound.
This is the part I want.
And he was well acquainted with time. Perhaps they compared notes and made bets about which among the new arrivals would survive the longest in Africa. Far from all Europeans made it.
All right, so here it is, Daughters of the Trade, and she's reading a little taste of her book. Now I want to play y'all some stuff right here, and we're going to skip. We might skip forward a little bit because I kind of know where this is going. All right, so this is from her book, and this is Dr. Ibsen who did the research. So I hope y'all can see this, right? Make sure my volume's right. All right, hope y'all can hear this.
Some stayed only till the next ship left the coast. Many got sick and some died.
She's talking about the Caucasian people. So when they got there, they stayed only until the next ship left, and many that were there got sick or died, right? So what was keeping them from dying? What happened after that? And I recommend that y'all look at this Daughters of the Trade, but I'm gonna play a little bit so y'all can understand the real deal of what was going on.
Coco was exiled to France not many years after that. Yette had probably concluded that France would be a good trading ally, which she was, but the marriage was at least as important for the Dane. Over the next decades, he did extremely well in Africa. Surviving on the coast was itself an achievement that could mean rapid advancement, but marrying into one of the most powerful trading families in Rousseau also helped. After a few years, Franz was promoted to assistant and sent on expeditions on behalf of the Danish West India and Guinea Company, carrying messages and presents to the king of Akramu. Within 6 years, he was appointed chief assistant at the fort, and by the time he was appointed governor in 1711, he was well acquainted with several languages, as well as the Portuguese lingua franca on the coast. By that time, Coco and Franz had one child together, who was followed by another, a son who bore the very Danish name David Franzen. He, like their marriage, was born of the trade. So in the first generation of interracial marriages that I write about in the book, most of the women who married European traders, they could be Danes, they could be Norwegians, there are a number of Norwegians, and Germans at Christiansborg. Most of the women are of only African descent. So they have, I know this because they have African names like Coco, which is the typical Ga name for a second daughter. And they live in family compounds. So the Ga families traditionally live in gender segregated compounds. So women live in one compound, men live in another compound. The women will live with their sisters, with their mother, with their aunts, with all the female relatives of their family and their children until the children reach puberty, by which time the boy will move into the father's compound and the girl will stay in the household. So Coco would have lived in a compound with her mother and all her female relatives. Franz would have lived on the fort. What happens over the course of the 18th century is that a cultural frontier, you might call it, if you were an academic, shifts in the direction of European families, so that by the end of the 18th century, I started seeing a number of women moving in with their white husbands in stone houses, if they're very wealthy, or at least visiting a lot at the fort, or even they weren't allowed to actually live at the fort, but they move into separate houses with their European husbands. I don't think they lived alone with their European husbands in a traditional nuclear family of any kind. I think the cases that I know well enough to say something about it suggest, and it also would be reasonable to assume that actually these were still matriarchal or matriarchal households where the European man came and went. So European men did not stay on the coast most often very long. They died, they got sick, they went home, they left, they went to the Danish West Indies, but the household stays. And so what I see is a shift towards a situation where a few now Euro-African women get prestige, wealth, very high standing in the community by having had European ancestors, so European fathers, European grandfathers, European great-grandfathers, and having European names, and sending their children to the European.
So y'all can y'all hear that? All right. So basically, all right. So basically, what you have here is you got black women that sold out the community because they got prestige from doing so.